Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tales, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now, let's get into today's tale. Hi, I'm Marin Doyle, and the day my sister announced she was pregnant, my parents acted like she'd performed a miracle. They rewrote their will within a week, erased me, handed her the house, the money, everything. But here's the part she didn't see coming. I knew she was lying, and by the time her baby shower rolled around, karma showed up louder than I ever could. I was the kind of daughter people describe as low maintenance, the one who never asked for more than what she was given, the one who cleaned her plate, did her homework without reminders, and got straight A's without fanfare. My name is Marin Doyle, and for as long as I can remember, I lived in the quiet shadow of my younger sister, Sloane. Vivian was born dazzling, or at least that's what everyone said. She had this magnetic, messy energy, blonde curls, loud laughter, a wild streak my parents called free spirit. I used to wonder how two girls raised in the same house could turn out so differently. I was soft-spoken, predictable. She was fire and spectacle. But while I played by the rules, she rewrote them, and somehow always got away with it. It started young. If I asked for a new backpack, my mother would suggest we wait for a sale. If Sloane wanted the same thing, it was suddenly a necessity. She's expressive, my mom would say. Let her show who she is. I didn't complain. I didn't cry. I just watched and learned. The lesson was clear. Being good didn't make you special. It made you invisible. By high school, the pattern was set. I got into AP classes, tutored younger students, and volunteered at the library on weekends. My report cards were pristine. Vivian skipped classes, partied on school nights, and came home drunk more times than I could count. When I confronted her once, she rolled her eyes and said, "Relax, you're not my mom." I wasn't, but I often felt like I was the only one parenting anyone. When she dropped out of college in her second semester, my parents barely blinked. "School's not for everyone," my dad said, as if flunking out was a form of self-discovery. Meanwhile, I worked 2 part-time jobs to finish my degree and graduated summa cum laude. My parents came to the ceremony, of course, but left right after the photos. Vivian had some kind of art show she wanted them to attend, and they did. After college, I stayed close to home, not because I couldn't go further, but because someone needed to be there when my dad had his heart scare and my mom's arthritis flared up. I took on a job at a local museum, then transitioned to teaching part-time at the university. I made enough to live quietly, comfortably. I handled the groceries, the house repairs, the doctor's appointments. I did it because it was right, because families should show up for each other, because maybe, just maybe, if I kept doing the right thing, eventually I'd be seen. But I wasn't. Not really. Vivian went from job to job, graphic design, photography, social media consulting, whatever sounded impressive enough to put on Instagram. She was always starting something big, always about to blow up. None of it lasted longer than 6 months. But my parents, they adored her ambition. "She's trying," my mother would say. You know how hard it is for creative people. One day, I found myself standing at the sink in my parents' kitchen, scrubbing dishes after another family dinner where Vivian had dominated the conversation with tales of her brand deals and sponsorship opportunities. My mom was still giggling at something Vivian had said, while my dad handed her the last slice of pie like she was royalty. I looked down at my hands in the soapy water and felt something crack. Not loudly, but cleanly, like ice shifting underfoot. For years, I'd swallowed the idea that love meant stepping aside, that being dependable was enough, that if I asked for less, I'd be appreciated more. But as I dried the dishes and watched my parents hang on to Sloane's every exaggerated word, I realized something simple and devastating. They didn't see me. Not really. Not ever. I wish I could say that realization made me angry right away. It didn't. What it did was make me aware that the life I had built, quiet, stable, unremarkable, had come at the cost of being overlooked, and that no matter how much I gave, there would always be someone louder, flashier, more urgent, to take center stage. Still, I told myself it didn't matter. I had my peace, my purpose. I didn't need the spotlight to know who I was. I believed that right up until the day Sloane said she was pregnant. And just like that, my parents handed her everything. And I knew this time I wasn't going to disappear the night Sloane announced she was pregnant. It wasn't over dinner or even in a private moment. It was at my parents' anniversary party, an event I had planned from start to finish, down to the seating chart and catering. She walked in an hour late, wearing a pale pink silk jumpsuit and a smug little smile, and the moment she stepped through the door, I knew she was about to hijack the entire evening. "I have news," she declared, raising her glass of sparkling cider like she was hosting a press conference. "I'm pregnant." The room erupted. My mother gasped and burst into tears. My father actually stood up and hugged her, a rare act of physical affection he hadn't even shown me when I got my university teaching post. Guests clapped, champagne corks popped. Sloane soaked it in like sunlight, hand resting delicately over her flat, still perfect stomach. I stood there, wine glass halfway to my lips, stunned, pregnant. With whose baby? She hadn't mentioned a boyfriend in months. No signs, no clues, nothing but a sudden revelation, perfectly timed and weaponized. Later that night, after most of the guests had left and I was collecting empty plates, I asked her quietly in the hallway, "Is it true?" She blinked. "Is what true?" I stared. "You know what I'm asking." Sloane smiled, that tight, practiced smile she always used when she was lying. "Of course it's true. Don't be weird, Marin." Then she walked away. 2 days later, my mom invited me over just to chat. I thought maybe it was to acknowledge how blindsided I'd been. I was wrong. "We're updating the will," she said, pouring tea like it was nothing. "It's time things change. You'll still have your teaching salary, your job, your independence. Vivian, on the other hand, well, she needs support now. We want to make sure the baby is taken care of." I sat frozen. "So you're giving her everything?" My mom didn't flinch. "The house, most of the savings, the art collection, will be split, of course, but yes, she's carrying the next generation, Marin. That matters." I felt something in me detach. Not snap, just release, like a knot loosening, air slipping through a crack. "I see," I said. "You understand?" she replied, as if I'd agreed, as if my silence was consent. But I didn't understand. Not really. I went home and opened the file where I kept copies of important family documents, photos of the house deed, insurance records, the last known copy of the will from 5 years ago. It was all still there. My name had once been clearly listed, not just as a backup, as an equal. Now they were ready to erase me. All for a pregnancy no one could confirm. And then the details started to nod me. Vivian wasn't nauseous. She wasn't tired. She still drank half a glass of wine at brunch the week before. And when I asked offhandedly what doctor she was seeing, she dodged the question. That week, she posted a photo on social media of herself in workout gear, doing core strength training. Someone in the comments asked if it was safe during pregnancy. She deleted the question within minutes. Something wasn't right. I could feel it in my gut. But what bothered me most wasn't the possibility that she was lying. It was how easily my parents had accepted it. No questions, no proof, just blind, desperate joy and the swift shifting of assets. I found myself replaying every moment in our family history where I had stood aside, taken less, been the adult in the room. I had believed that being reliable meant something, that it would count. Apparently, it didn't. I wanted to let it go. I wanted to be the bigger person again. But this was different. This was theft. Not just of money, but of identity, of my place in the family, of the narrative they were choosing to tell the world. Vivian, the radiant mother-to-be, and me, the childless academic they tolerated. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I wasn't going to beg for my share back. I wasn't going to explain myself to people who had already decided I was expendable. I was going to get the truth. And when I did, I was going to let it burn. I didn't start with anything dramatic. No confrontation, no accusations. I started the way I always had, quietly, methodically, and one step at a time. The first piece of evidence came by accident. Stopped by my parents' house a week after the will conversation, under the pretense of dropping off a care package of anti-inflammatory supplements for my mom. Vivian was there, sprawled across the couch with a laptop and a bowl of popcorn. Her stomach looked flat, not barely showing, flat. She'd kicked off her shoes and left her bag on the floor. I noticed a small orange, a prescription bottle peeking out from inside. She was in the kitchen talking to her mom, so I crouched down and checked the label. It wasn't prenatal vitamins, it was furosemide, a diuretic prescribed for bloating and water retention, not something a pregnant woman should be taking, especially not daily. I didn't take the bottle, but I did snap a photo of it. Later that night, I started connecting dots. The social media posts, no belly shots, the lack of morning sickness, the fact that she still hadn't mentioned a due date, a doctor, or a partner. I started looking deeper. I reached out to one of Vivian's exes, Daniel, a guy she'd dated for almost a year before she ghosted him to focus on herself. He remembered me, oddly enough. We'd only spoken once at a Christmas party. She said she didn't want kids, he told me, sipping his coffee at a downtown cafe like ever. Said it would have ruined her body. Her words, not mine. I asked if they'd ever had a pregnancy scare. He snorted. No, she was obsessed with tracking everything. If anything, she was paranoid. Thanks, I said, standing to leave. Oh, he added. She used to joke about how easy it was to fake being pregnant. Said people never question what they want to believe. That night, I opened a blank document and labeled it, Vivian Fabrication Timeline, announcement date, April the 2nd. No due date stated publicly or to family. No medical documentation shown. No known partner or father identified. Still drinking wine. Photo dated April 8th. Social media. No physical changes. All photos chest up or old reposts. I also called every OB/GYN office within 30 miles, pretending to confirm an appointment for my sister. No one had a Vivian Doyle or any variation scheduled. Then I remembered something. Friend of mine, Harper, worked as a receptionist at the downtown urgent care. She owed me a favor. I'm not asking you to violate HIPAA, I said when we met up after work. I just need to know if she's ever even stepped foot in your building since April. Harper checked. Nope, she said. Not once. Vivian hadn't gone to any doctor. She hadn't even bothered to fake a checkup. That told me something dangerous. She didn't think she had to. She believed she could bluff her way through this like everything else in her life. That's when I started planning for the baby shower. My mom had asked me to help design the invites. A test, maybe, or just another small cruelty, I agreed. I volunteered to handle the music playlist, the flower arrangements, the signage. Vivian naturally didn't lift a finger. I'm just so tired lately, she said, draping herself across a velvet armchair at the bridal shop, where we were supposedly picking out a maternity-friendly dress. You'll understand one day, I smiled. maybe sooner than you think. But inside, I was coiling like a wire pulled too tight. The day before the shower, I visited the local pharmacy and picked up a spare bottle of Furismid. I labeled it with her name. I also printed out the list of OB/GYN clinics she hadn't visited and the receipts for the wine she'd bought the week after her announcement, paid on her credit card under her rewards account. I had one more trick. I'd been recording our conversations. Not all of them, just the ones where she got too confident. And in one particularly damning moment over lunch, she'd said, "By the time anyone realizes, the will's already signed. What's one little lie if it fixes everything, right?" She laughed at the end of it, that slow, self-satisfied giggle she always used when she thought she'd won. I backed up everything, photos, recordings, receipts, onto a flash drive and sent a copy to myself, encrypted. I wasn't worried about whether or not it was legal. I wasn't planning to sue. I wasn't planning to go to court. I was planning something better, a stage, an audience, and a truth that would detonate right in the middle of her perfect little pink celebration. The day of the baby shower was absurdly perfect. Blue skies, soft, breeze, the kind of sunshine that makes everything look more expensive than it is. My parents had rented a hall at a boutique vineyard just outside of town. White tables with blush linen, gold-rimmed champagne flutes, banners that read, "Welcome Baby Mara," fluttered in the wind. Vivian had even arranged for a violinist to play soft classical music as guests arrived. She wore a pale Mara Empire waist gown and cradled her perfectly, flat stomach like a prop. Every guest smiled. No one questioned a thing. I kept mine simple. Navy wrap dress, clean bun, nude heels. I was quiet, efficient, helpful. I made sure the mic worked, that the catering was on time, that the slideshow ran smoothly. No one suspected anything, because I was the dependable one. I always had been. Just before the speeches began, my mom approached me beaming. "Thank you for helping," she said, brushing something from my shoulder like I was her assistant, not her daughter. "Vivian couldn't have done this without you." She was right, but not in the way she thought. Sloane took the stage first, holding her glass of sparkling cider. "I just want to say thank you to everyone who believed in me, especially my parents who've supported me through every step of this journey into motherhood." Murmurs of approval rippled across the crowd. She paused for dramatic effect. "And to my future daughter, baby Mara, I can't wait to meet you." Applause. She handed the mic back to my mom, who was about to step up, until I touched her arm. "I'd like to say a few words," I said. My mother looked confused. Sloane raised one eyebrow. I walked to the center, took the mic with steady hands, and smiled softly at the guests. "Thank you all for coming. It means a lot to see so many people show up for this occasion." I paused. "And I think it's only fair that we all understand what we're celebrating." I turned toward the projector screen. With one click from my remote, the photo of Vivian's prescription bottle flashed across the display. The room stilled. "That's furosemide," I said. "It's a diuretic, not exactly baby-safe." The next slide showed a wine purchase receipt, time-stamped and signed 3 days after her announcement. Then came a short video. Sloane laughing over brunch, her voice clearer. "It's not like I'm actually pregnant, but you lie once, get the will signed, and boom, you're set. I mean, what's family for?" Gasps. Someone dropped a glass. I continued. "There is no baby Mara, no doctor visits, no ultrasounds. Just a lie designed to manipulate our parents into changing their will. A lie that almost worked." I looked at my parents. My father's face had gone blank. My mother had her hand over her mouth. Sloane. She stood frozen, color drained from her face, her wine glass shaking in her hand. "Sloane," I said, "you can lie to them. You can lie to these people. But you forgot who I am. I don't scream. I don't throw things. I watch. I wait. And then I tell the truth. When it matters. No one clapped. Not yet. I handed the mic back to the event coordinator and stepped down, heart hammering, hands ice cold. Vivian finally broke the silence. "None of that proves anything," she shrieked. "You're just jealous. You've always hated me." My mom looked up at her with a face I'd never seen before, something between shame and horror. "Sloane," she said softly, "is it true?" Sloane opened her mouth, then, "Shut it." Her silence was answer enough. The violinist stopped playing. The guests started murmuring, then rising. My father walked out. My mother stood there for a long moment, then sat back down like all the energy had left her body. Vivian stormed out of the venue, her heels clacking hard against the tile. I stayed behind, helping the staff pack up. Someone tried to apologize to me. I don't even remember who. I just nodded. My hands were steady again. Later that night, I got a single text from my mom. "We need to talk." I didn't answer. It's been 3 months since the baby shower. My parents tried reaching out first. First came the texts, apologies wrapped in excuses, then voicemails, then silence. I didn't respond, not because I wanted to punish them, but because I finally understood something I should have seen years ago. Their version of love came with conditions. Mine never did. Vivian vanished from social media. Her brand deals evaporated. Last I heard, she moved into a tiny apartment, 2 towns over. My parents didn't change the will back, at least not officially. I don't care if they ever do. It's not about the money anymore. I used the recording, the evidence, the entire ordeal in a lecture I gave at the university. The topic, narrative manipulation through personal myth. The students were riveted. And for the first time, I didn't feel erased. I felt seen. Sometimes I still pass by my parents' street. I don't slow down. The world didn't fall apart. It got quieter, sharper, cleaner. Vivian once said, "I'd never fight back." She was wrong. I didn't need to destroy her. I just needed to stop letting people rewrite me out of my own story. And now I'm finally writing it myself.